back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. Today, it's a little different. Normally I'd start this video off with me rambling for 10 minutes in the garage about what we're going to do and what we have done. We'll get into that later. But today we're starting off, we're taking a 3-hour there and a 3-hour back trip to North Carolina. My buddy James has been on the channel a whole bunch of times over the last 2-ish years that I've been doing this. He's picking up a project. James hasn't had a project in a while, so this is pretty awesome for him. It's a 60s Mustang. I don't remember exactly what year. I think he told me it was like a 66. So we're gonna do a little detour, go pick up a project, and then we'll pick this back up on Sunday, because most likely we're not gonna have time to get into the garage tonight. Never know though. We'll see how the day goes. Probably gonna be a really, really long day. But I figured I'd bring y'all along. I've been saying that I do a lot of random things that don't make it onto the channel, and this is one of the random things. So if you've never been here before, there's over 50 videos if you didn't pay attention to my numbering system of the Mazda project, and then we actually started another build on a van. So go check out all those. Do all the normal YouTube-y things with the likes and the subscribing and all that stuff, and we'll just get into it. So thanks for watching. We got the pit crew here. I got Pops over here cleaning the windows while we're fueling up. Well, I wasn't going to record while we were at the people's house because it's just weird. I'm not used to asking people if it's okay if I can record around them, but I got the Mustang hooked up. We got about 45 minutes left. It was a pretty decent trip. We left at 7:20 and we're expected to be back at 4 o'clock. Car's in pretty decent shape. I'll do a little walk around when we get back to James's house and get it off the trailer. And I haven't been recording in the truck because there's a lot of colorful language going on between everybody, and it's not usually what I post on my channel. But we're at a truck stop pretending to be truck drivers with James's diesel at the pump because the Love's pump on the other side is completely packed full of people. But yeah, we'll check back in when we get back to James' house. If you mess up, you can redo it.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. We have a... No, it's not a mini truck or a lowrider, but it's cool. This was my grandfather's 1966 Mustang, 289. I don't know if it was a 3 or 4 speed. The transmission's in the trunk, so I have to figure that out. But he was gonna get it restored, and then life happened and he passed in 2019. So it was left to my uncle, and my mom's cousin had it. He was gonna restore it and all that, but he didn't have time, you know, life and things like that. So he said he didn't want to really mess with it anymore, and asked me if I'd like to mess with it. And I said, I know a sheet metal guy who's really good at doing quarters and floor pans. I'll definitely take it. So me, Crawford, and my father drove down to North Carolina, about 3 hours away, picked it up. Shout out to Richard for letting me get this beast and keep it in the family. I think the end idea with it is to build it like Trans Am style, late 60s, early 70s, you know, because it's a lot cheaper. You know, if you make it fast, it's got to run like 10s or 9s, and I don't want to spend that kind of money on a motor. So it was a good eventful day, and this is why Crawford's not going to have that much content for your Sunday video, and I'm sorry to his fans, and I wish you guys a good weekend, and thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe.
That carburetor gotta go. What a piece of shit. Look at that battery tray. There's a lot left of that something.
Yeah.
But the inner fenders don't look rusted bad.
good sign. We got movement.
Turns over like nothing, man.
That's good.
No spark plugs.
Prom.
Can't leave it sit out. You're going to have to get some tape and cover this up because it's going to take moisture sitting outside.
We can see it. Well, we're back. I got the trailer dropped off at my buddy's house. I got the car off of the trailer, as you saw. James gave a little explanation. It's kind of late. It's been a really long day. So I think I'm going to call it quits for today. And we're going to get out in the garage first thing in the morning and try and get the truck to run. What I hadn't explained yet is the truck does run. I put gas in it, added a fuel filter, did a bunch of random little stuff to the wiring, and I got the truck to fire up. I'll add everything in there that I've recorded so far. The only problem with that, I was trying to get the truck to idle. I haven't adjusted the carburetor. I haven't done anything to the truck since I ported the intake, since I rebuilt the carb, since the truck was completely apart. But I put gas in it and it fired right up, which is a great sign. Now it's just a matter of fine-tuning the carb and checking for vacuum leaks and so on and so on. I got the truck fired up and I'm over there adjusting the carburetor with a screwdriver, and I hear liquid hitting the ground. So I look down and there is gas all over the garage. Like the whole floor soaked. There's probably a solid gallon of gas in the floor, and I don't know if you've ever spilt gas before, but it's terrible. So 2 days later, after running my exhaust fan on the door, the gas smell is still there, but it's bearable. I tried to come out here last night and it just wasn't happening. I was in the garage for an hour and the fumes were making it to where I couldn't concentrate. I tried to shoot an intro like 10 times. That's why y'all got the driving to James's house intro. But exciting news, like I said in the beginning of the video, I did a little bit of trading. A buddy of mine, he doesn't have a conventional job per se. His thing, since I've known him for the last probably 10 to 15 years, I don't know how long I've known this dude. His thing is he sells stuff. That's all he does. Buys stuff, sells stuff, and he comes across a lot of cool things. He's actually the one that got me the independent rear suspension for the van. So to go along with the van, he posted something online that was really interesting. I got a whole bunch of F-250s and 350s in my backyard, so we did some wheeling and dealing. He wanted $600. I didn't want to give $600. He wanted the leaf springs, so $350 and some leaf springs later, this is what I got off of him. Some old school, like I said, I'll be looking for baby billets, and this is what I got. They're Phoenix, which I've never heard of. I've always considered this style wheel a hammer. I will add some pictures in of my old van, my very first car, my first engine, transmission. I didn't have any money. Basically, this van is what I wanted to build when I was 15 years old. When I first started driving, my dad said, "Hey, I got a present for you. We're gonna go over to my buddy's house. He's got this van that he wants to get rid of. I'm gonna buy you the van. It's like $300. We get home, and he's like, the van doesn't run, it doesn't drive, it's a piece of crap, and whenever you're ready, you can start paying me $300 back." So I got a van. I'll add pictures. Like I said, first engine, transmission, lowered it. I did the exhaust like 100 times. A friend of mine worked at a Corvette dealership, so I got all of the scraps. I got everything that they took off of Corvettes, and I was able to take all of those pieces and make exhaust out of that and experiment. And that was my introduction into vehicles. So I want to pay, I don't know, I want to give 15-year-old me or 16-year-old me the van that he wanted, and I think that these will help complete the look. I think mine were, I think they were Prime wheels, which was a smooth faced, they didn't have the ridges like this. This is extremely similar, so I'm kind of thinking these are pretty light, and you know, see what I'm thinking there. We're still going to put the Daytons on there. We'll still get that satisfaction of bouncing around, because I get bored with wheel choices. I've had 3 different sets of spokes and the Astro Supremes on the Caprice, but before I decided that the Astros just looked the best, so that's what it has. Same thing's probably going to happen with this, but I think this is going to be an awesome choice. I'm really happy with these for the van. So, next few clips you'll see is everything that I've been doing in the garage, and we'll pick this back up tomorrow. It's been a weird version of what I normally record, so if you've never been here before, this isn't the norm. But everybody said they're cool with seeing me do what I normally do. And what I normally do is a lot of random stuff. I'll see y'all in the morning. Alright, we're back out here. It is Sunday. I've been messing with the carburetor a little bit. I figured out where the leak was coming from. There is a hole in the fuel line. When I was cutting the body for the body drop, I just barely nicked the line apparently. So I'm just going to cut it back, which it's not that far. I'm comfortable with the amount of like rubber line that's there. I'm going to attempt to put a little flare on the end with my brake line kit and throw a rubber line on there, and we'll see what this thing does. Hopefully we can get it to idle today. Pretty much that's the goal. It's Sunday. I'm not like super motivated just yet. Yesterday, I don't know what it is about riding in a car, it just drains all of my energy. It probably is a matter of just sitting still for that long. So we're gonna cut that line, throw on a piece of rubber, see what this thing does. We need to check the charging system, make sure this thing's still charging, which I'm pretty sure it is for the amount of times I cranked on it the other night before my massive flood. I need to clean the garage. Obviously I was looking for this thing, and that turned into a huge mess. This is going to get mounted here. I mentioned this a really long time ago. I just never got around to doing that. It's going to get mounted somewhere in here. I'm going to run that line underneath the engine to this, and then split from this back to the back of the truck, which there's another one of these. This one came off of a parts truck, so we're going to tie into that. I had to cut that line out of there. It was rusty and it was rough. So the other day, which I just added that footage in, this is still going to get tidied up a little bit. But what you saw me do is, this is the main power from the battery. That gets tied into this. These guys are mounted. These are for the air compressor. This main power feeds all of these breakers, which these will get swapped out for the correct sizes. I bought a whole bunch of them. I just need to figure out exact amp draw for everything, and those will get replaced. I found a really cheap deal on these. Those ones, I paid like $15 a piece. I found these, look identical on Amazon, just from a different seller. I got 3 of them for $18 or $19, so those will get swapped out once I figure out exactly what I need. But we have the main harness power coming in that powers the factory fuse block, which basically sends power to everything in the front end, headlights, turn signals, all that. So that's the main things. I haven't wired up the electric fans yet. I'm still on the fence about how I want to send a temperature sender for that. Normally, this is the one that came with it. This is a Summit fan kit. This thing's huge. There's not really a good place to put this. I could do one of the inline ones, which I've been looking at. I found really small lines. I was thinking that I could tap into one of these really small lines for the... I'm not really sure. we're still trying to figure it out. There's a lot of random little lines that I could tap into, or potentially even come into the back of this one, because that's the main line coming out of the engine, goes straight to here into the heater core. So there's a lot of options. I just need to figure that out, because they sell much smaller versions of this. This thing is kind of bulky. We're getting straight away. I'm gonna get under the truck. I gotta find my little tiny tubing cutter in this massive mess. I gotta fix that line. Yeah, that's the plan. Come on, fuel pump. See if I can do this without flooding it. It's probably not gonna happen, as I pour it all over the place to make a mess. Pulling fuel up. So I got it to idle, just not super happy. So what I'm going to do now, I couldn't remember when I was assembling this which jet went on which side. So what I'm going to do is swap them, because maybe I got the idle jet is off. It runs good. It's just, for whatever reason, it doesn't want to idle. It'll idle if I crank the idle way up, but other than that, it's not happy. Everything is looking clean, so I'm not getting any major trash from the fuel tank or anything. The tank is new, but the lines are the old lines. I don't recommend doing this and reusing a gasket, but they make these jets just big enough that you can't, at least I couldn't get them to pull out of the top. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it's like that on all of these. I am not super familiar with them. I had this thing running really good beforehand. I might need to actually purchase some jets, because I did a bit of porting on the directly underneath the carburetor. I'll throw it back together, see what she does. I think when I take lunch, I'm going to run out and grab a new set of spark plugs, because I'm pretty sure from me messing with this, and the last time I started it, I didn't have everything hooked up, and I had a massive vacuum leak,
Pretty sure I fouled the plugs out. It could be the entire problem that I'm having, but I will pick some of those up here in a little bit. Maybe I turn the key off. I did turn the key off. Wow. Definitely think I got the plugs fouled, but it runs decent. It's spitting and sputtering. I think one for sure reason is the plugs. They gotta be crap. And I don't have the choke hooked up. And I'm not sure if it's retracting too early, but regardless, it does run. So that's an awesome awesome thing now. I need to take lunch, get some plugs, come back, see if we got any vacuum leaks, and go from there. At least my assumption on the jets being backwards was correct, so at least it idles now, and it is very snappy. Like, I'm impressed with how snappy this thing gets. Instant revving of it rather than before it was kind of like sluggish. Like it was similar. I don't know, you have to see it before, which I didn't take any video of it, but it's definitely got a snappiness to it with the porting job. But I'm rambling. Lunch, spark plugs, and we'll get back out here, and if we can get it to idle today, I might have to order some more jets. I'm pretty sure me messing with the amount, which I'll add a picture in there, I did it like 20 videos ago. The amount of porting that I did, it has to mess with the idle circuit, because the amount of fuel like just bouncing around and the massive blockage that these things have whenever you first put the carburetors on, it's smooth now, so there's significantly more air flowing, so there has to be yeah, I got some stuff mixed up for sure. That I guarantee a set of jets, some spark plugs, and some tinkering, it'll be right. I have no idea. I've decided to try it one more time. And it idles perfectly smooth. I didn't do anything. I shut it off and turned it back on. I have no idea what changed in the last 30 seconds, but the truck's happy about it. It idles great. It revs up smooth. There's no spitting and sputtering. I did literally nothing. Very, very weird. Well, I hit Advanced Auto Parts, picked up some spark plugs and some brake fluid. Haven't gone to lunch yet. We're trying to get stuff done, and I know as soon as I sit down on that couch, it's gonna suck the productivity right out of me. So I wanted to point something out. I've never started this with this header. I've never started it with that entire exhaust on there since I did the MagnaFlow muffler. One thing, if you've ever installed a brand new header, so you're in there and you're got your grubby fingers on there because everything in your engine bay is nasty, and you're in there just manhandling the header, before you start it up for the very first time, get a microfiber, paper towel, whatever, and rub the entire thing down with isopropyl alcohol. If you don't, and there's probably a lot of people that can speak on this, if you don't, and you don't get it completely clean and get all your fingerprints off of it, you can see that stuff later. Like the other night, I just cleaned it off, and I have a nice uniform golden colored burn, I guess you could say, and then it tapers off into the stainless steel. I know this won't look like this forever because it's a cheap piece of crap off of eBay, but rubbing it down with alcohol definitely helps prevent some of that. There's some things that I do that I don't even think about doing, and it's just kind of what I've always done because it's, I don't know, I've been working on stuff for what feels like forever. My buddy Delonte was over here the other day showing me some stuff on his daily driver, and he was in here while I was working on this thing. I told him about the master cylinder for the clutch going out, and he said, well, you just painted all of this. How are you going to get the brake fluid out of that without making a terrible mess? Which, it's pretty horrible the way that I came up with mounting this. It looks cool. It's kind of hidden. All you see is the top portion of the thing, but it's, this little plastic thing pulls out of the actual clutch master cylinder itself, and to drain this, just pulling a brake line off doesn't drain these because there's a plunger inside. So he was thinking that I was going to have to like suck this out, or basically pick this out real quick and then try and maneuver it out of here without making a mess. I'm going to fill it up one more time because he told me I had to put this in the video. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Go ahead and put a, that's a terrible idea because that bed liner just wants to stick to it. This is just a secondary precaution, not totally necessary. I didn't actually have this up there when I was showing him, but I feel like just because we're on camera, I'm going to mess this up. All I do, take a nice, good, absorbent microfiber. Go slow. If you just jam it in there, it's just going to push the fluid back out onto the ground. Pull that out. Just turn the towel a little bit to another clean, good side. Nice clean paper towel just to make sure we got everything. And then go ahead and pull this out of the master cylinder. That's it. No drippage. Didn't ruin any paint. Everything's still clean. So I didn't even think about adding that in. I wasn't going to, but he insisted. So now I need to pull that guy out of there. I'm gonna do the plugs before I get sidetracked like I normally do. If these are not fouled, it will definitely surprise me. I was going to pull them out before I went to the parts store, but I had this thing piping hot from adjusting the carburetor. Oh yeah, that is trash. That is absolute trash. Apparently I put the expensive iridiums in there. When I went just to the store, I didn't buy those. I bought the conventional ones, but it'll be alright. Another one. It's trash. Yep, they're all trash. Just make sure if you have a conventional plug, you gap it. As far as I know, every kind of iridium plug you're not supposed to mess with. But these old school plugs, you most definitely should make sure it's correct. Let's see what we got. Look at that. So much better. I probably need to mess with the idle mixture a little bit. I got a slight vibration, but it's really not bad. And I have working headlights now, high and low beams. I don't have the horn wired up because I have this aftermarket steering wheel, but that's pretty good. Excuse the fan noise. It's a little fumey in here. We'll go ahead and see what we're charging at. Turn the key back on. $14.3. I think I mentioned it before. That's actually a upgrade. That's a 130 amp or 120 amp alternator from a Miata. I got it off of eBay. It's from some people that rework them apparently. It's significantly better. So with the headlights on and the air compressors on, with my amp draw meter, it pulled, I want to say it was like 49 amps. The factory alternator is a 50 or 55 amp alternator. So if you have one of these trucks, I imagine the Nissans are probably the same way. They don't put out very much amperage. So look into buying an alternator if you plan on running an electric compressor and an aftermarket stereo and all of the other random things that this is going to have. Because it's not enough. Basically, these trucks are made for an old, really, really low powered radio and some really old school headlights and taillights. And that's it. They're not meant to be accessorized. So I don't know if I mentioned it, that I did receive the clutch master cylinder in like Wednesday or whatever it was to replace the new clutch master cylinder with a new clutch master cylinder. But I am running out of time today. I won't be able to get the brake lines finished up and that clutch installed because it's already like 4 something. I have some things I need to do, which they're kind of boring off camera. I got to get 2 lawnmowers running. These belong to Brent, which is my tint guy. I've known Brent for a really long time. Brent has tinted everything that I own. Everything has 5% and something on the windshield. He is going to do the Mazda eventually and the Crown. So we worked out a little deal. I'm going to get these guys going for him. He's going to remove the tint from the Crown. I don't think that's what y'all want to watch me do. So I'm going to call it quits. I think that this is, for the little bit of amount of time that I was able to actually work on this today and throughout the week, it's pretty good progress. I'm happy it runs, and I'm happy it runs smooth. So that's a good sign that this thing's going to leave the garage. I'm gonna put it out there. It will leave the garage next week. I will drive it out of the garage regardless if the brakes work, so we can get the body panels in here and we can start doing some body work so we can get this thing finished. I apologize for the last couple of weeks of having to wait for things to happen, and I don't know. It's been a little hectic, but we will have this thing out of the garage next week. We have to, because we have to get the body panel started. I did get in the mail some sanding blocks that I've been wanting to try for a long time that we get to try out hopefully next weekend if I get the truck out of here during this week. We're down to just that clutch working. The line's already in there, and we're down to a single brake line. Well, it's actually like 2 pieces before this thing can technically move under its own power. Now that it runs, now that there's electricity going to it, everything else can be addressed and buttoned up later on. Making it move, we are super close. Super, super close. So I appreciate all of y'all watching. Hopefully, if you've never been here before, it'd be awesome if you subscribed. Do all the normal YouTube-y things with the likes and the comments and whatnot. There are new videos every single Sunday, and most of them, there isn't a trip involved going to North Carolina. So again, it's a little different. The last couple weeks been bouncing around, but whatever. I'm rambling and getting off topic again. So I'll see y'all next Sunday.